Hey guys, welcome to Art and Soul with Heather. I know a lot of your favorite seasons are probably fall. Fall is definitely one of my favorite seasons. There's just something the way that I feel that God speaks to us is just so awesome. Specifically this time of year, the way He just changes the environment, with the cool, crisp air and the colors. And I don't know, it's just kind of like that way to prepare ourselves to get warm and snuggly for the winter season. But anyways, with fall obviously comes the most popular, design, or at least currently popular design, which would be the buffalo check plaid pattern design. And so I wanted to show you how to make that today, and a pumpkin, because you can't have the buffalo checks without a little something to complement that background or pattern. And so what I wanted to do was just tell you a little bit about it. That both of them are they're very easy. Both of them are for beginners. The only oddball piece of art supplies you would need, or that I recommend, would be some painter's tape. And that's just for measuring purposes, just because I'm not one to just bring a ruler out and start, making precise little marks. That's just a headache for me. So if that's what you prefer for straight lines, there's no right or wrong way. That's just my preference, just to use the tape. I like quick and easy. So anyways, also just to enjoy the process. This is not about, trying to be the best the first time at the first attempt of anything. I mean, I still make a lot of mistakes, but you know what? That's how I learn. That's how I want you to learn. So if you find yourself making a lot of mistakes or whatever, don't get discouraged. The best part about painting is you can cover them up. There is no, I have to start over, I have to do this again. Just cover it up, enjoy the process, and you just might be pleasantly surprised about the outcome that you have from just simple mistakes you weren't expecting. All right, so let's get started.
I'm starting off my project by basically drawing a round object to represent my pumpkin. Don't worry about trying to make perfect circles or ovals. Perfect pumpkins simply don't exist, so don't overwhelm yourself by drawing something that's unrealistic anyways. Notice I'm drawing soft lines. It's so I don't overcomplicate my drawing with a bunch of hard lines and confuse myself with which lines I want to keep. And don't waste your time trying to erase. By not erasing, not only will you save time by not making a bunch of smudge marks, but it's likely you won't draw the same or near identical line you wanted to erase to begin with. I like to make my stems more embedded into the pumpkin for that 3D look. Also, I draw in my wedge marks that almost look like beach ball wedges. Once you're satisfied with your lines, go ahead and draw in more concrete lines, but don't worry, even if you mess those up, there's nothing you can't paint over. That's the beauty of painting. For the buffalo check plaid design, I'm taking some 3M painter's tape that is 7/8 inch wide. You can use fatter tape or skinnier tape. This is just what I had in my house already. You'll see that I pull a strip out long enough to lay it along the top edge of my canvas and then rip off a small piece to measure the next line down. This just makes it easy so you don't have to worry about using rulers or drawing unnecessary lines. After I lay my measuring strip down, I pull out another piece and lay that below the measuring strip. Once I've laid my longer tape down, I remove the measuring strip and place it below my most recent strip, and on I go, repeating the process until I reach the very bottom. Once my tape is where I want it and secured to my canvas, I take my 3/4 inch tip flat brush and quickly apply a thin coat of gray. I'm purposely not aiming for fully covered or evenly coated checks. I want some of them to look more on the rustic or rough side. When I'm done, I quickly use my hairdryer so the tape doesn't pick up any wet paint with the next round of tape. My hairdryer is on medium heat, about 6 inches above my painting. Hot air could cause your paint to crack, especially if it's on pretty thick. Once it's dry, I peel up the tape. You can reuse the tape if you want. I just tossed mine. I'm too impatient to unsnaggle them and try to lay them out where I had limited space anyways. Now I'm going to apply the tape perpendicular to the lines I just painted and repeat the process. When the tape is on and secure, I just slap on some more gray paint. You'll notice I go back and dip my brush in a little bit of black paint. Again, I'm just trying to enhance some rustic features. My checks come out with mostly clean lines, which is what I wanted. I just didn't want perfectly filled in squares, at least not for this project. When I'm done, notice I leave the tape in place. Unlike the first time I laid the horizontal tape, I'm actually going to place it on the first painted line that you can see, or should see rather. Then just put the tape on the remaining original horizontal painted lines. Once the third and final layer of tape is on, I quickly add a thin layer of black paint in all the open boxes or checks. You could use a hairdryer if you want so that when you start painting your pumpkin, you won't accidentally mix in background check or plaid pattern paint into your pumpkin. And here's the buffalo check plaid design reveal. Still using my 3/4 inch tip flat brush, I'm applying a thin coat of white paint to ready my work for wet on wet paint. After I put the white coat on, I immediately combined a little more white with the color Succulent to get my base color. Notice the process entails a lot of up and down brush strokes to try to replicate the texture of a pumpkin. Don't worry about having covered up your wedge marks, you can paint those right back in. Using the color English Navy, I use the edge of my brush to paint my wedge marks back in and continuously blend my colors. I incorporate a little bit of white for some highlights, but you'll notice I add more succulent coloring. Actually, you'll notice a lot of layering. That's to keep working with wet on wet paint as I try to find the perfect blend of colors and texture of my pumpkin. Now I'm adding the color Trail Tan to bring out sort of a khaki undertone and soften it up a bit with a little white. I add another layer of succulent to bring back the main color of my pumpkin. You'll see me do several more layers of white, succulent, trail tan, and English navy. I'm really just trying to accomplish the specific colors and their patterns I had in mind. It may take you more layers than me or perhaps even less. The bottom line isn't to focus on how many layers you apply or how much time you're working on it. Just enjoy the process and see how all these colors blend differently with each stroke. All these layers are really just improving your overall brush stroke technique anyway. After you're satisfied with your color blending and texture, don't hesitate to run the hairdryer over your pumpkin. Here I'm moving on to the stem and switch my brush out to a 3/8" tip angular shader and fill it in with the color Burnt Umber. Notice I don't make the base of my stem with a flat or a straight base. I may have originally penciled it in like that, but that was just to give me an idea for how far down I wanted the stem to go. Instead, I paint a jagged edge, giving it a more realistic appearance as it grows out of the wedges and uneven lengths. Once that's filled in, I add a little bit of white for highlights. I switched out my brush again to my number 5 round tip fine detail brush to outline my pumpkin with English navy and to touch up some spots that were more difficult using my flat tip brush. You don't have to outline your pumpkin, I just like how it gives it a more bold look to it. Now I'm just cleaning up my lines or any small mistakes with the color white using my 3/8" tip angular shader, although any fine detail brush would be okay for the job. For some of the finishing touches, I'm adding in some vine details using the color olive green with my number 5 round tip fine detail brush. Okay, onto the tricky part because it's hard for you to see, but I'm drawing in a pumpkin leaf. I'll include an example of what a pumpkin leaf looks like so you have a better idea of what I'm drawing so you can try to duplicate it. It's not an exact example, but that's okay, I just want something close. Using my 3/8" tip angular shader brush, I'm going to paint the leaf combining the colors olive green and forest moss and paint with the olive green on the outer edge of my brush. Using 2 colors at the same time enhances the contrast of the leaf. Notice you can still see the buffalo check pattern underneath, which tells me I'm going to need to paint a few layers. That said, I used my hairdryer between each layer, or coat, which it took me 3 coats to finally get the look that I wanted. Now I'm going to add in some more finishing touches with the color olive green by adding in the stem as well as the natural crease lines in the leaf using my number 5 round tip fine detail brush. Here I'm softly drawing in the words "be thankful" as part of my finishing touches, which is again difficult to see at first. If you're not comfortable with handwriting, you can always use stencils, but if you choose to handwrite, my advice is to practice the style you like first before you bring it to the canvas. To bring out my handwriting, I'm using a gold Sharpie paint pen with a fine tip as I trace what I wrote. I also partially outline the leaf and the stem so the color of my handwriting will match some of the details of my pumpkin. Since I didn't perfectly trace my handwriting, I gently erased the soft pencil lines that I missed using a soft eraser. Of course, you can paint over your pencil lines if you prefer that route. Here's the finished product. I love how it just screams fall and gives off so much warmth even though cooler colors were used. If you liked the video, please be sure to hit like for me and don't forget to subscribe to see more tutorials. More importantly, thank God for this opportunity and always paint from the soul.